What's up, YouTube? This is Brian from Bull Strength coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about what type of supplements I take and why I take them. So one of the most common questions that I get asked, besides like what my diet is and stuff like that, is what kind of supplements do I take? So today I've compiled a list of 9 different supplements that I take pretty regularly. Some I take pretty much indefinitely, and some I'm kind of off and on with. Alright, so the first supplement I take is Creatine Monohydrate. So there are a lot of different creatines out there, right? There's a lot of proprietary creatines. I know if you look at like Muscle Farms creatine, there's like 6 different blends in there. But the truth of the matter is that only one strain of creatine has actually been thoroughly studied. A lot of these other creatines really haven't been looked at all. And the strain that has the most science on it is creatine monohydrate. So what does it do? What does creatine do? So the first thing it does is it allows your muscles to use more oxygen, right? Which is actually going to push your VO max threshold up by about 2 or 3%, according to a study by the European Journal of Experimental Biology. And so what that means is basically higher endurance. It's not a huge edge that you're going to have. It is 2 to 3%, but that little extra edge, especially if you're like an athlete or you're into like competing in strength sports or something like that, that little extra 2 or 3% could actually translate to quite a bit. Another thing that creatine does is it decreases muscle damage from exercise. So it aids in recovery time, kind of speeds up your recovery. Another thing it does is it raises your lactic acid threshold, your lactate threshold. So basically, your muscles run off of what's called glycogen, and glycogen is basically sugar that's stored in your muscles. And anytime you do any kind of vigorous exercise or working out, you're burning these glycogen stores. What your body does as you're burning these stores is creates lactate, and the lactate gets in your blood and eventually makes its way to your muscles. Your muscles end up getting sore from the lactic acid, and then basically there's a process where it converts it back into sugar. But anyway, so what this does is creatine specifically allows faster metabolism of lactate, so the conversion rate of it turning back into glucose is slightly faster than if you weren't taking creatine. Another thing it does is basically what's known as intracellular water retention. Okay, so when you take creatine, the cells in your body swell up with water, which is why a lot of people, when they take it, they gain weight. And basically across the board, if you supplement creatine, you're going to gain weight. I know for me, after my first week or so, I'm up about 8 to 10 pounds, and it's pretty much all water weight. You're not like magically putting on muscle or gaining the wrong kind of weight or anything like that. It's pure water, and this water is meant to help with recovery while working out. It's also good for your memory, and it also prevents age-related cognitive loss. Okay, or I'm sorry, muscle loss. So muscle atrophy attributed with aging. Creatine has been known to slow that down. Alright, so creatine, this is more of everything on this list. This is the most like performance enhancing supplement that I take, to the point of a lot of people consider creatine cheating, and a lot of regulatory agencies have actually tried to get it banned, but unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, there's not enough data out there to actually justify a ban on creatine. There's not really any known negative side effects. I suppose it could kind of put an extra load on your liver, and possibly your kidneys, which, you know, your body should be able to work that out unless you have some serious problems. Alright, so the next supplement I'm going to be talking about is actually, I'm going to talk about 3 at once because I stack all 3 of these at the same time. So I don't know if any of you have heard of nootropic supplements, and these are cognitive memory enhancing supplements. But if you've ever been to like onit.com, where they have Alpha Brain, and there's a lot of different proprietary blends out there of nootropics. But basically what I did is I went through some of the best ones, and I kind of found the most potent ingredients, kind of got rid of all the other stuff that's not really needed, and I pretty much make my own nootropic stack. So my stack consists of L-Theanine, 5-HTP, and caffeine. So right after breakfast, after I get a nice protein and fat dense breakfast, the next thing that I always do is I consume a cup of coffee, and then I take in this theanine and 5-HTP. Now, the reason why I take all of these together is that they kind of synergy each other, okay? So caffeine, as a lot of you know, it increases energy, right? Increases cognitive function, but some of the negative drawbacks is that it's going to elevate your blood pressure. It can give you the jitters. It can give you symptoms of anxiety. And basically what these two nootropics do is they nullify these negative effects. They pretty much take the edge off. So 5-HTP and L-Theanine are both known to not only enhance cognitive function and memory, but they're precursors to serotonin production. So basically, if you're supplementing these, it's going to increase serotonin, which is going to decrease stress and basically negate the effects of caffeine. Okay, so 5-HTP, L-Theanine, and caffeine. So we're up to number 5 now, since I just kind of stacked all those together. I meant to be showing you all of these as I'm talking about them. They're kind of off to the side, but here's my 5-HTP and L-Theanine. I highly recommend this brand here. Now Sports. They make great creatine. They make great amino acids. It's super cheap. It's honestly the cheapest brand that I could find between Amazon and brick and mortar. Now Sports is where it's at. So if you're looking for some cheap nootropics, definitely check these guys out. The next one is Spirulina. Now, Spirulina, so the supplements that I've mentioned already, they're kind of like in my rotation regularly. Spirulina, not so much. I just kind of throw it in every once in a while. And the main reason why I supplement Spirulina is because it's known to bind to and remove heavy metals from your system, right? So I eat a lot of fish and things like that, foods that are high in omega-3 that might be carrying some higher levels of heavy metals. So what the Spirulina actually does is it goes in your body, grabs the metals, and takes them out. So those negative effects that you hear about from eating, ground feeding seafood and salmon and stuff like that, this will actually take away some of that mercury. So not only that, it's super nutrient dense. It's a very potent antioxidant. It's known to keep your blood sugar low. It's high in chlorophyll, which is great for your immune system. And it's just an all-around good supplement. Especially like if you're not getting enough veggies in your diet, Spirulina is a very good option to go to. However, it's not super cheap, so I don't make a regular habit out of supplementing Spirulina. Alright, the next one down the line is vitamin D3. Right? I'm sure you've seen or heard some fitness folks talk about this one. This is a very important one. So the reason why I supplement D3 is that it's very hard to get from your diet. There's D3 naturally occurring in eggs, in a lot of different types of marine fish. Pretty much any marine fish is going to have high levels of vitamin D. Freshwater fish, not so much. So you're not going to get it from catfish or crawfish or anything like that. But marine fish carry this. Now, unfortunately, I can't eat marine fish every day. It's not sustainable to me. It's not, I don't know, I eat like salmon and stuff like that, but it's mostly like an every other day or every 2 days kind of thing. I don't eat it every day. So because vitamin D is so rare of a nutrient, it's very hard to get in your diet. I supplement it, and I suggest that you do too, because if you don't have enough vitamin D, it can lead to depression, and a lot of other problems, hormone imbalances. This also helps regulate your insulin levels, and a lot of things that people don't, or one of the things that people don't know about D3 is it's actually it's a pro-steroid. So it's going to kind of jack up your steroid hormones and give you that little extra oomph. So definitely make sure that you're getting enough D3. Now, D3 doesn't need to be supplemented every single day, especially if you're taking in 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 IUs, because D3 is fat soluble, right? So if you take in too much D3, Like you take in 6,000% of your daily serving. What your body's going to do is it's going to kind of store that away in your adipose tissue and your fat cells, and then it's going to kind of release it whenever you need it. So it's not something you need to eat every day. That goes for vitamin A, vitamin K, and vitamin E as well. These are all fat-soluble vitamins, and they get stored in your fat cells. So if you're eating enough of it, at least on a regular basis, you should be good. Water-soluble vitamins are a totally different story, though. And we might talk about that in a future video. But anyway, so next down the list is good old-fashioned fish oil. So fish oil is not something I supplement every day. Obviously, if I'm getting enough omega-3s that day, I'm not going to supplement fish oil. But if I feel like I'm going to have a hard time getting enough omega-3s, maybe I'm just kind of cheating that day, I'm just kind of, gorging on my favorite foods or whatever, I go for some vitamin D3 to kind of even things out. And the reason why omega-3 is so important is that it's an anti-inflammatory, and so basically you have omega-3 and omega-6. Omega-6 is a pro-inflammatory, but it's the good kind of inflammation, right? It's like healing inflammation. But if you get too much omega-6, it's going to cause excessive inflammation, and you can end up with some serious problems. So what you need is the omega-3 to counter that inflammation. And you need it, according to the FDA, you need it at a rate of about 16 to 1. So for every 16 grams of omega-6, you need 1 gram of omega-3 to counter the inflammation. Now, there's been recent studies by the National Institute of Health where they found that this ratio was actually causing damage. It was actually causing excessive inflammation. So according to the study I read, it actually suggested that you narrow that gap a little bit more. So about 8 to 1, 6 to 1, or 4 to 1, which 4 to 1 is what I typically aim for, but that's kind of hard to get to. Especially on a Western diet, because omega-6 is basically in everything. So anyway, the next one is milk thistle. Milk thistle, I just take this because I do take in a large amount of protein, and if you ever, basically your body has a quota as to how much protein will actually get metabolized and used for protein synthesis. Now the excess protein actually gets converted into glucose. Which is why if you're on a keto diet, if you're trying to be in ketosis and you consume too much protein can actually be enough to knock you out of ketosis just because of the amount of glucose that's getting converted. So, anyway, this process, when you do consume too much protein, is very taxing on your digestive system. It's actually the most taxing form of digestion that there is that I'm aware of. There might be some micronutrients out there that are a little more complex. I'm not as very well read on micronutrients, but yeah, as far as the macros go, protein is extremely hard to turn into glucose. Of all the macros, I mean, think about it. Carbs very quickly get converted into glucose if you're not just eating straight up glucose in general. And then fats, fats have a relatively easy time, converting adipose tissue into energy. However, it's very taxing to convert protein into energy. So in case any of this is actually happening in my liver, this milk thistle is supposed to be a sort of a liver health supplement. So it's supposed to kind of boost liver health. I don't know how good the science is on it. I take it maybe once a week, every 2 weeks or so. But I mean, according to what I've read, it's pretty effective. But is what it is. I would consider this far from mandatory as far as my supplement stacks go. I could actually narrow everything down if you're just like trying to get healthy to just D3 and fish oil, to be honest. And then the last supplement, number 9. This is kind of some BS. This is just kind of an energy supplement that I like to take. But it's called Bragg Boost. Caffeine-free energy boost. So this thing, it's made of apple cider vinegar, coconut water, and if you look at the label here, you can't really read it, but it's pretty much like a multivitamin. It has very high amounts of all the micronutrients you're going to need. it's gross. Okay, it's hard to drink. It's apple cider vinegar and it's coconut water, which to me, both of these things are highly disgusting. So, kind of pinch my, when I do take it, I kind of pinch my nose and just kind of ignore what I'm doing. I just kind of take it down. But this stuff is really great at boosting energy and just kind of helping me focus. So anyway, that's pretty much everything that I take. Besides this, I mean, I take coffee and different types of caffeine. But other than that, that's pretty much my whole stack. The creatine, the D3, and the fish oil are pretty much always there. And then more recently, these two, the nootropics, I tend to supplement these every day now too. So I pretty much have these in supply all the time. And like I said, the spirulina and the other things are kind of, it's whatever. If I feel like my body needs whatever, then I'll take whatever. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.